Well, sometimes it's quite clear. If somebody scolds you racial epithets and he's angry with you, that's clearly offensive. He is intending to be offensive. He knows it, you know it. And you're entitled to be angry with him. And he has no business doing it. And if it's going to be done in a very public way, that's a big problem, and something will have to be done about it. Sometimes it's not so clear. You may be with friends, you may be joking with each other. We are each proud of our own communities, and we are not trying to become totally race blind in Singapore. So if you are a Chinese Singaporean, you do have a Chinese culture, heritage, language, history. If you are Indian, similarly, and from many different variants of that, depending on where in India you come from. And likewise, if you're Malay. And so when you are different, there's always a tendency, I am proud of myself is fine. I am not so proud of you is not so good. And I look down on you, that's worse. And it happens. I mean, even amongst the Chinese, maybe less now, but in an earlier generation, between the Chinese different dialect groups, there used to be a very strong sense of dialect pride and dialect rivalry and dialect conflict. And in the 19th century, about 150 years ago, there were riots in Singapore between Hokkiens and Teochews, for example. People died. So within the same race, you can have this. Between races, it can also happen. And so if we have to be proud of ourselves, but we must not, therefore, look down on others, or worse, denigrate or put down others. And I think if it's ill-intention, it's quite clear. If it is not ill-intention, should I take offense or not, those social norms change. For example, in Singapore, you have an ethnic festival. If it's Deepavali, quite often Chinese guests will turn up wearing saris or some Indian costume. And if it's Hari Raya, non-Malay guests will turn up wearing Malay baju sometimes. It's just, I'm friends with you, I'm dressing up, I'm doing you honor. But in America, for example, there is a strand of thought, you're not one of me, you're putting on my dress, you're not entitled to do that. That is cultural appropriation. But basically, I'm proud of myself, you're not entitled to be proud of me on my behalf. So people get very angsty about these things. I think that makes life very tiring. And I don't think we should go in that direction. So it's a balance, and it's a balance which the younger people have to set. I have a certain view, but it's because I grew up in a certain age, and that's the way I am. Young people grow up in a different age, and you have to find your own norms and find your own way forward. And I hope you'll find one which is practical, which is robust, and which enables us to get on together and go out into the world. And when we go into another society where people aren't quite so nice and sensitive and used to dealing with you, you won't suddenly faint from shock. Because there's a whole wide world out there, and it's very different from what Singapore is in many places. There's an article by the deputy opinion editor. He's an Indian journalist, Bhavan Jai Prakash, I think his name is. He spent some time overseas, several cities. He came back, and he writes about how he, having seen live in these other societies, and they are developed societies, prosperous, successful places, he comes back and he says he appreciates what is in Singapore, how we have improved since last he was living here 6-7 years ago, improved in terms of the courtesies, improved in terms of the considerateness to each other, how we are much, much better than others in terms of our multiracial harmony and acceptance of one another. Not that there's nothing to improve further, but that in fact, compared to other societies, we are not bad at all. And I think we should know that at the same time as we keep on trying to make ourselves better. So that's what your teachers always tell you. Very good, work even harder.
Mr. Lee, I'm going to just push that point a little further. So there's one, of course, one dimension of microaggressions and casual racism that we encounter at the individual level, but sometimes there is hurt caused and offense taken by bigger communities. And then one of the approaches by our government has been to have close relationships with the community leaders that represent those communities. Has that approach always worked? Because one could also make a case that there would still be groups within that community who are hurt, offended, and reconciliation may not be, at least with the community leaders may not have been sufficient for them.
Well, it may not be sufficient, but it can be important. I mean, no society is without problems. Even in Singapore, from time to time, incidents happen between between people of different races. It may have a racial color to it, or it could have a racial color which could develop from it. I mean, you have a quarrel between two kids of different races. It's very easy for their families to be involved, to pile on, and then if the two families get involved, then it may become an incident between two racial groups. And the police watch this kind of thing very carefully, and they have to respond and try and tamp things down. And sometimes when a problem threatens to be a very major one, we have to talk to the community leaders or the religious leaders and try to get them to understand and try to help them to calm their flock down. Because if they may not be able to calm their flock down, but they may well be able to work their flock up. And if they are very angry with you, you have a very big problem. So you must have them understand what it's about, and then they say, okay, I know this, I will try my best. And there have been times when I have had to speak to religious leaders myself when something has come up to make sure that they understand that we are trying our best to control the situation, and that if something was done, we will try and put that right, and that this is not somebody trying to put pressure on your religious group. And they are very sensitive things. And even in handling that, in the process of handling that, it is still not so straightforward because, as you say, there are many actors. So when an incident happens, it's not just two people fighting, but many other participants. And even as you are trying to calm things down, more things can happen. And then you've got to calm that down too. So managing multiracial harmony is tiring work, but it's something we have to do. And it's very important in Singapore.